I must confess I had expected something very different from what I see now. I had thought I would come and mix freely with old friends who call themselves journalists and who really have been my colleagues and friends for a long time. I thought it would be a friendly gathering, but I find it is altogether too formal and has become a repetition of the many functions where I have had to speak. I am afraid I cannot help saying that this meeting also suffers from this disadvantage. If Mr. Iyer had decided to put aside all old fashions, I would have been on the same floor with the rest of you, moved about, understood you, breathed the air of affection and gone back with pleasant memories. Now you have put me very serious questions which, however, I propose to answer, although I have had little time to think about them. I am sorry to say that I cannot accept the compliment or the charge that you make that I am an incipient journalist and take every occasion to find satisfaction in that direction. I thought I was a very poor journalist because I spoke my mind whenever I wrote and did not try to know beforehand what people would like. I do not believe that a journalist can flourish if he proceeds in this manner. You asked me to help you to get the great owners of the papers, the press, to deal with those who work under them more sympathetically. I do not believe that either the government or the Governor General will succeed better in this than in dealing with other employers. I do not know if owners of the press will listen to government more than others have done. It is a question of conflict of economic interests to some extent, but largely a question of patience and mutual understanding. I am surprised that you call journalism an industry. Before you came to that part of your address, I was thinking of telling you that the way out of all difficulties is to treat everything as an effort in making the world more beautiful. That is to say, I want you to look upon journalism as an art and not as an industry. If all of you working journalists will treat your vocation more as an art than as an industry, then all will be well. Journalists are like painters and poets rather than factory workers. They are really doing works of art. When you journalists write an article, when you write a leading article, or even when you present an item of news, you are doing a work of art. Hitherto, journalism was too much associated with politics. You thought you were only an expanded legislative assembly and went on advising, opposing, consulting and debating. I think that is a wrong way to take journalism now. Now that we have no problem of foreign domination, we must reduce journalism, or rather raise it to the level of an art. Does a poet ask the government to intervene between himself and the publishers? Can a painter ask the government to help him to get better prices for his pictures? Works of art cannot flourish in that manner. Although I have refuted your kind compliment, I think I know enough of the life of a journalist to feel that I am giving good advice. Whatever may be your difficulties, whatever your internal pains and travails, do look upon what you produce as productive, creative art, and then all will be well. To Honesty Trading Corporation, Meadows Street, Bombay 1. Dear Sirs, I thank you for your prompt reply with enclosures to my letter of the 9th instant regarding my appointment. I am satisfied with the prospects you hold out, and I am anxious to demonstrate my ability to convince likely customers of the superiority of your productions over the many substitutes now existing. There are, however, several most important points in the agreement which require adjustment before it can be concluded. With respect to Clause 1, I think it would avoid the danger of disputes if it stated exactly what are included. I am also anxious that it should be distinctly understood that I am not expected to be answerable for payments to travelers in connection with the commission. I recommend that you forward each week a check covering the likely amount which I shall disburse, holding to your credit any sum remaining in hand. I respectfully suggest that the sum of 1000 rupees be deposited with me for this purpose. I hope you will have no objection to giving the necessary sanction. Turning to the question of samples, I understand that these are to be free. Perhaps you will give instructions for a considerable stock of these to be sent by passenger train, as it is unnecessary for me to say that prospective buyers like to inspect the commodities before giving their orders. Respecting the determination of the agreement, will you kindly state distinctly, merely as a formality and to avoid the possibility of a future misunderstanding or misconstruction, that it is a yearly one which, on condition that a turnover of at least 10,000 rupees is reached in any 1 year, is automatically renewable. Should the amount fall below the sum of 10,000 rupees, either side may give 6 months notice, but should I accomplish this, as I confidently believe I can, the 6 months notice is to be given by me alone, you undertaking to renew the agreement for as long as I may require. Hope our coming association will be instrumental in the advancement of the business. Expecting a very early reply from you, yours faithfully.